Welcome to another episode of the Ambitious Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Sabine the Purpose Lawyer. Thank you for listening, and thank you for helping me be on purpose as usual. All right, folks, if you have not been here before, this podcast is all about protecting and preserving your stuff, your business, your assets, everything that you own of value, and helping you put the generational back into generational wealth. So we generally break down topics that are confusing. There's a lot of information out there, but nobody really kind of understands how it works. And I have the gift of breaking things down and making it simple. So I'm here to help you. Today, we're going to talk about something that I get asked all the time, and it's trust versus LLCs. So understanding the difference between what is a trust and what is an LLC and how do they differ and which one do I need? All these questions that have been burning in your brain, I'm going to help you sort of understand it, all right? So you might have already heard of these things before, especially if you've been here before. You've heard me talk about trust, and you've definitely heard me talk about LLCs, and you probably heard information everywhere about it. All right. So first off, let's start off with the basics. An LLC is a business entity, right? It's a type of business that allows you to basically protect what you have and have limited liability, right? Not really protect, but it is more so like a wrapper around your business, right? A container, if you will, to run and manage your business through, right? So an LLC allows you to have separation from yourself so that you are not responsible for what happens in the business, and the business is not responsible for what happens in your personal life, right? So it gives you separation. And it also has limited liability. So limited liability basically means that it cuts off your liability at the point where the value of the business is. So what does that even mean? That means that you are only responsible for up to the amount you put in the business or whatever assets that are in the business. That's where your liability ends. But anything beyond that, personally, outside in your personal life, your personal accounts, your personal affairs, you would not be responsible. So again, that separation is what that limited liability is. And so a business entity is typically used by individuals who have small businesses because they are easy to run, they're easy to operate, there's not a lot of paperwork involved. And as long as you follow simple, rules of keeping yourself and your identity separate from the business, you will have that liability protection, right? So small businesses use it. People who have personal businesses, maybe they're like providing a personal service or things of that nature, and it allows them that, protection and assurance that they're not going to be responsible for things beyond what's in the business. Another reason why LLCs are used is for real estate investments. So a lot of real estate investors use LLCs to own their real estate. They use it as holding companies. Why? Because it's easy to manage real estate. It's easy to have flexibility with real estate and limit your tax the tax implications or the things that might trigger taxes when you are moving around your assets, right? So LLCs allow you that freedom when it comes to real estate. And there's a whole host of other reasons why they use it. But another reason that people don't realize is that LLCs can be used sort of like an estate planning tool because they have that liability protection feature. They can be added to your estate plan so that your estate plan has the same features, right? That liability protection, that separation, that wrapper to sort of separate things from each other, right? So that's what LLCs are, and that's how they sort of interplay with your estate plan. So now let's talk about a trust. So a trust basically can be considered like a wrapper or a container. It definitely can hold and own your assets. Assets are things like your real estate, your business, your bank accounts, etc. So it can hold and own your assets, and it can have the authority or direction that if something happens to you, that those assets could be transferred or given to those who you decide that you want to have them, right? And so it makes things super easy, and allows it to be a quick and smooth transition to those who are going to survive you, right? And so that might be your spouse, it might be your children, your other family members. So that's what a trust really is. Now, which one should I choose, Sabine? Is one better than the other? And that's what I always get. So if you're talking about just your personal finances, that you want to make sure that you have, protection over, or that you want to make sure that you can, protect from liability, right? If you have a particular thing, like say a piece of real estate or a particular risky type of business, maybe you don't want to have that business or that real estate in your name personally, like you're operating as yourself, but you want to do it within this business because you want to limit that liability. You want to make sure you put a wrapper or container around it so that you limit that liability, and that's not going to come to you personally, like your personal bank account or your personal home, right? So if that's your concern, then that's what you do. But then if you are really concerned about making sure that you pass on your assets to your loved ones if something happens to you, you want to make sure that if you're not able to care for your affairs, that someone can just step in and continue doing everything that needs to be done even while you're alive, then you might want to think about a trust, because the trust has those features. And now I already know what you're thinking. You're like, but Sabine, I like all of those things. I want to make sure that I also have liability protection and that I could pass on my assets to my loved ones. Well, guess what? You can have both. All right. You can have both. You can use these two things because they're considered tools that we use to protect your assets. They're tools that we use to put a plan together for your life, your assets, and your affairs and your goals and all that good stuff. So you can have both of them working together to not only make sure you have a means to pass on your assets, but you also have a means to protect what you have in case certain things might arise that are unexpected, right? So that's it. That's the long of it, and that's the short of it. Right? You can put these two things together and have your cake and eat it too. How often do you hear that? Now, listen, I know that this could be overwhelming, and I know that, there's so much information out there that you guys want to be as educated as possible. Wherever you are in your journey, I have a solution. So I run a firm called the Ambitious Legacy Firm. If you need help with this, or you know someone who needs help, or you just want to get more information about estate planning and asset protection, please feel free to reach out to us. Our information will be in the show notes. If we can't help you, I promise you, I will be happy to refer you to our network of trusted professionals. So please feel free. Reach out. We're here to help. And I also wrote a book on this subject called You're Richer Than You Think. So You're Richer Than You Think is all about estate planning, and it sort of breaks down each and every one of these topics to make sure that you have a foundational understanding. You can have these conversations. You could teach your loved ones. You could be the influencer of your family to make sure that everyone is aware and that they're protecting their assets and making sure that each generation is hitting the ground running, right? Nobody's starting from scratch. We're just doing what we need to do and being great in our own right. So pick up a copy of You're Richer Than You Think. And that's it. I am so happy you were here. Happy to chat with you. Please come back next time. And don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you next time.